Okay, so this video isn't going to be fun to do, like, at all. I know this is going to get a shit ton of backlash. I'm going to probably get lynched by the Warframe community. I'm probably even going to lose my partnership. But, you know what? Enough is enough. These things need to be stated. Life for Rio, he had a complete point when he was talking about his video, how the community is just fucked right now, putting it lightly. And I'm done staying quiet. I'm done trying to just pretend like things aren't wrong. I'm John. I'm done just acting like, yeah, this is kind of a mild inconvenience, but it can get better. No, it's not getting better. This is not a mild inconvenience. This is going to be what officially kills Warframe. So, quick disclaimer before we really jump into this. I am not attacking any players. I am not attacking any specific player, and I am not attacking the community. I am not attacking DE. I am not slandering DE. I am just giving my opinion about how I feel about the game's current status and what's going on, and that is that. You have every right to disagree with any and everything I say, and, of course, this is all just my opinion. We are allowed to have those, believe it or not. A certain section of this rant will definitely include a lot of if the shoe fits scenarios. If you don't know what if the shoe fits means, please feel free to look it up yourself. So to start off with, let me just say, Warframe is a great game. I still stand by all my opinions that basically that this game is one of a kind. There's very little things out there that can top it, and very little things that can actually compete with it. I said it before and I'll say it 1,000 times again in the future. If I didn't like Warframe, I wouldn't have tried so hard to get partnered with it and making my entire channel almost revolve around it. Warframe is beautiful both in the gameplay and visual design aspect. Gameplay is fast and fluid, and the community is so supportive it's almost terrifying. So with all those quick good points out of the way to hopefully cushion the blow, let's really jump into this now. Warframe can't decide what the hell it wants to be. Easy or hard, grind or story. What does it want to prioritize? It has both, it's shooting for both, yet sometimes it feels like there's none of either. Is the end goal fashion, or to be as strong as possible? 5 years of playing this game and I still have no idea why we're doing any of the things that we're doing in this game. We're supposed to be strong, but not too strong. DE seems like they can't make up their mind if they want the game to be like MapleStory or like Dark Souls. Which reminds me, trying to balance a power fantasy PvE game is freaking stupid. It kills Warframes when they're so weak that no one wants to use them for anything other than aesthetic. Perfect example is the recent Warframe Revenant. Revenant should have been a god among other Warframes. He's the sentient / eidolon Warframe. He should be having lasers falling from the skies, shooting explosive bullets, being borderline immune to everything, not by charges. Instead, he's some kind of goofy discount vampire knockoff with some sentient attributes. And weapons. Weapon balance is infuriating. Nothing is allowed to be better than the Tigress Prime. I don't get excited for weapon releases anymore because I know it's not going to be better than the Tigress Prime because every weapon is only allowed to be meh at best. How's the new gun? It's meh. How's the new sword? It's meh. How's the new Warframe? I already stopped using it. I'm not saying everything needs to be so damn strong that with a snap of a finger it kills the entire star chart, but it needs to be at least better than half of the old equipment we already have. Seriously, how do you expect players to actually use new stuff when their old equipment is 1,000 times better and more available? Take the damn training wheels off and let us be the war machines we're apparently supposed to be. And for God's sake, fix the freaking enemy scaling already. Enemy levels between 1 to 75 are a joke. But then suddenly, 75 to 100, they're almost bullet sponges that need the most meta weapons to kill. Seriously, DE, the rug is getting full, and I'm just getting started. Speaking of ignoring the issues, DE, stop making these big things and then just leaving them to the back burner for the rest of their existence. Arcwing is still just a tool instead of an actual game mode. You made it to where it's at least playable, thankfully, but now no one has ever seen any updates about it since. No one wants to play it. Everyone dreads the idea of having to do Arcwing missions because it's so boring or tedious to accomplish. Lunaro has seen no advertisement, and yet you're still questioning why no one plays it. And I'm not even going to mention all the Warframes that still need reworks and touch-ups because they're so old and their kits are becoming irrelevant over the years. DE has tons of ambition, and that's great. Development teams need that kind of ambition. But when they keep adding and adding and adding stuff and just making it barely functional at best and then leaving it behind forever, you just have a game full of dead content. There's so much stuff that needs attention now that DE just keeps saying we'll get to it later, but when the hell's later gonna come up? Speaking of waiting a long ass time, Warframe? More like waiting for the shit to build frame. I'm not exaggerating when I say Warframe's time gating is goddamn atrocious. People spend hours to days, depending on their personal schedule, farming for Warframe parts and weapon components, just to finally get it all and have your ship tell you, sit the fuck down and wait. We live in a spaceship that can fly through a solar system in a moment's notice in a universe that has borderline space magic to build and achieve certain feats of epic proportions, but you're telling me that it takes our ship's foundry 3 days to build a Warframe, or 12 hours to build a weapon, or 24 hours to build something like Forma and catalysts. Oh, but suddenly it remembers about that space magic technology that it's made out of if you go ahead and pour your own money into your own ship. Am I the only one who sees the flaw in logic here? Like, am I seriously the only one who sees a problem with this? Warframe is not pay to win, but it's pretty damn close to being paid to progress more than 1 mile a day. At least mods don't take such a long time to upgrade. Oh yeah, speaking of mods are a crucial thing that makes Warframe so unique from other games. The concept is that you use mods to modify your weapons and Warframes to your own playstyle, which is great, but the problem is there's only one playstyle in this game, and that's shoot the thing and whack the thing till it stops moving as fast as possible. I intend to make a video literally called How to Mod Every Weapon in Warframe Ever. Because these days, every Warframe and weapon has the exact same damn build. Every weapon needs damage and multi-shot, every Warframe that isn't Rhino needs Vitality and Streamline, and everything these days needs at least 1 to 4 formas to fully work. There's roughly 3,000 mods in this game, and the majority of the player base only uses like 150 at most. The only purpose these mods serve anymore these days is just to make what I'm actually looking for harder to find. But Reaper, some weapons and frames need those oddball mods. Yeah, you mean like the 2 frames and 5 weapons out of the 200 things we have to mod? But Reaper, we'd be too overpowered if we could use our meta mods and the Band-Aid mods. Oh, now being overpowered's a bad thing? I'll go into more detail about this later, but God Lord Jesus, this community cannot decide what the hell it wants. People will bitch and bitch and bitch at DE for nerfing a Warframe, but the second they mention making a Warframe stronger, it's like they cringe and go, no, don't do that. I mean, seriously, for God's sake, there are times I want to throw a rotten tomato at Scott for nerfing a frame, but then there's time I just want to buy the poor guy a beer. Seriously, do you people want to be demigods or have a challenge? You really can't have both. Personally, I want a challenge, but I also don't want my Warframes to take a crowbar to the knee every single time they show to be too good. So to both DE and the community, make up your damn minds already. Which brings up the last glaring issue that I've been wanting to talk about for so long, but was too afraid of the backlash, but oh, I'm not holding back now, I'm on a roll. And that is... Now, I'm going to strongly point out that in the beginning of this video, I said I'm not attacking anyone. But this is going to be very if the shoe fits. So if anything I'm talking about sounds like I'm talking about you, just remember, there's a really good chance I don't even know you exist, let alone am going after you. So with that said, this community is a two-sided coin to every possible extent imaginable. Every non-Warframe follower talks about how great the community is and how perfect it is and what a shining example of a community it is, and I'm just here like, yeah sure, okay, I guess. Warframe's community is both the best and worst community I've ever seen in my entire gaming life. I don't know how they managed it, I truly do not know, don't ask me. But Jesus Christ, half of you constantly talk about how you want the game to grow and expand, but then the second they want to change anything, you're like, no, keep it all the same. Half of you want more players, half of you don't want any new players because you don't want the game to become too mainstream. Veterans are often seen helping new players, but they immediately turn around and blame new players for everything bad that happens in the game. There's so much freaking praise for DE just for simply existing, but at the same time, they're almost never satisfied with anything that comes out. I know some can argue I'm guilty of this, but at the very least I know what I want in a game. And don't get me started on the elitists in this game. I'm sorry to burst your power fantasy for a second, but mashing E and then shooting all the enemies that are the same height in the head, making you have to virtually not move your mouse, doesn't make you really good at the game. It makes you average at best. People who often say how they carry people are probably the same people who either play Rhino and then talk about how they never die, or play Equinox and then boast about how many kills they get. The first majority of this video is basically me just talking about how DE needs to get their shit together. Well, all of you are not out of the blast zone either. How's DE supposed to get anything done or rely on feedback when everything you tell them they do is perfect? Seriously, look up any hotfix or update ever. The first 5 comments of every forum ever is, "Thanks DE, good job DE, you're perfect DE, love me DE." It's... guys, they just nerfed this, they removed that, they just did all this stupid shit, and you're praising them for it. But then you're gonna turn around and complain to them about it a week later. A lot of you like to sit and complain about the game, but then the second someone tries to point out a problem or flaw with the game, you all go and lynch the poor person. You're sitting here complaining about how something is wrong with the game, but then at the same time you don't want to admit that the game is anything other than perfect. You all want to be judge, jury, prosecutor, victim, and executioner all at the same time. Yes, DE drives me up a wall a lot, but how can I blame them when this is their player base? It's no wonder half the time they don't look like they know what they're doing. It's because they don't know what any of you want. And can we talk about how freaking threatened the community is by Destiny? Why is Warframe players always comparing the game to Destiny? You can't find a single Destiny video on the internet without a slew of Warframe players in the comment section preaching about how Warframe is the better game. Destiny players just want to watch a Destiny video and then just enjoy the Destiny content. But they can't because there's always going to be that one guy who's like, yeah, but Warframe's better. Where's that energy towards bug fixes and content droughts? Half of you spend so much energy complaining about how one game's better than the other, but when it comes to making improvements and actually helping Warframe itself, crickets. There's nothing from you. You're just going to keep preaching about how Warframe's better than Destiny and then not go into anything about Warframe itself. Destiny exists. Deal with it. Believe it or not, players are allowed to play what the actual fuck they want. Especially Warframe veterans who got nothing else to do. Speaking of which, if you're a Warframe veteran, my deepest condolences. It sucks to be a veteran in this game. If you're a veteran, there's nothing to do besides your daily sortie and maybe running some oddball missions you just felt like doing. Or the most popular, playing dress up in Captura mode. There is no endgame in Warframe. You leveled the things, you did the quests, and now you're just sitting on your ass waiting for new content. New content that can evidently take months to actually show up. Sanctuary Onslaught was supposed to be the new fun mode for vets to finally get to do their own thing with their own good weapons. Sanctuary Onslaught was supposed to be this new fun thing for veterans to finally use their good gear on. Just to find out it's basically survival horde mode made for DPS frames and only for people using AoE meta gear. Oh, but there is an easy mode just so new players don't get left behind, of course. DE acknowledged how veterans are basically being on the back of their minds almost 80% of the time. So they're now pronouncing this new Elite Alerts thing. But I've heard this song and dance before, and I'm about to change the CD. I'm done getting my hopes up for nothing with this game. And speaking of done, so is this mini rant, wherever you want to call it. Once again, you don't have to agree with anything I just said. This is all my opinion, everyone's allowed to have one. Feel free to dislike the video and wish a plague upon my family. I'm done holding my tongue about this.